Hey everyone, Chris Mack coming at you today with Vision and the Scarlet Witch, issue 1. And every time that I come back to this book as of late, I wish that we would have seen more of this in WandaVision, because this book just really hits that emotional element perfectly. The print date on this was November of 1982, and the book was created by Bill Mantlo scripter, Rick Leonardi pencils, Ian Atkin and Brian Gravey inkers, Joe Rosen letterer, Bob Sharon was the colorist, Mark Grunwald was the editor, and Jim Shooter was the editor in chief. Now, from what I understand, Vision and Wanda have just recently been married at this point, and they decided to quit the Avengers, try to live a normal life, and they've just purchased a house together. And listen, I love how Mantlo and a lot of these writers just had that, I call it the Claremont-esque feel to it, because that's what I can relate to. But listen to how we are built up into this book. Leonia, if I pronounce this wrong, feel free to make fun of me down in the comments, but Leonia, New Jersey, just 15 minutes from the George Washington Bridge, is known as a haven for New York City's executives, doctors, and professional people. It is not yet known as the home of the strangest wedded couple in the world, an android and a mutant. We see a little boy dressed as Spider-Man goes, "Mommy, I thought only kids wore costumes on Halloween." But that man's face is red. And I just love the juxtaposition of how we have just regular civilians here in the foreground, which leads your eye to the odd couple walking down the road. And this is funny. I love how Vision in the book, I mean, don't get me wrong, I cannot remember the actor's name off the top of my head, but I enjoyed his portrayal of Vision. But listen to the way it's here. These kids come up and they go trick or treat, and Wanda just very casually, "Well, darling, it appears I have no choice but to treat these apparitions. But it also appears," and I just love how it shows an empty hand, "but it also appears that I have no treats. Thus, I fear that my offering shall have to be trick." And the kids are like, What's going on?" His hand went right into the shopping bag. And Wanda's just like, "Darling, for a synthezoid, you have a remarkably subtle sense of humor. I believe someone had once said that even an android can laugh, Wanda." Who said that and when? I did, my wife. Just now. I love it. The little subtle nuances like that are what makes this book epic. He goes, "We're home, darling." You can see how they just subtly use their powers just in front of everyone, like whatever. And it's tripping out the neighborhood. And then they hear someone in the house. And it says, but there's no, oh wait, where does it say? Hold on. There is a dialogue somewhere. They stiffen. Danger's been a part of their lives for many years. But there's no danger here, only an old friend. And I love how Jarvis just ends up in the book. He goes, "Hello, Master Vision, Mistress Wanda. I knew you'd be moving into your new home today, so I thought I might lend you a hand unpacking." And don't get me wrong, I love in the MCU how they made Jarvis an AI, but nothing compares to this guy, because he's just like Alfred in so many ways. He goes, "Captain America asked me to give you this book, Mistress Wanda. He procured it on a visit to England and thought you might like to have it." And so they think back to their teammates and the decisions that they made, because they said that's all that they knew of their life. That's where they met, they fell in love, and that's where they married. So nonetheless, they're just thinking about what's going on. And Wanda even starts to say, "We could put the book down for now. And we think we're going to get a, what do you call it? They think they're going to have a sweet moment together. But then responsibility happens." She goes, "Jarvis did come to help us." And so he takes off to go get ready to build the house. And she goes, "We'll have to save this for later." And it says, upstairs, the Crimson Men have come to call the Vision stands solitary in the darkening halls, pondering his own past. He is not a human being, but an extremely lifelike synthezoid molded at the hands of the adamantium automation Ultron. Upon the blank slate of his brain were imprinted the mind patterns of Simon Williams, the original Wonder Man. Mind patterns he shares with the being Simon Williams became the new Wonder Man. His body once belonged long ago to the original Human Torch. And from these desperate beginnings, the Vision has fused an identity, forged a life, and found love in the arms of the beautiful Scarlet Witch. So I love that this book starts slow. and we get character development and some backstory if you've never really read an Avengers comic, so you don't have to go back and reread several issues. And the visual representation of all the parts, the sums of him that make Vision whole, is just a great representation of the tones lighted out with Vision in the foreground. Just an awesome way to tell that story. And then we kind of get the equal, story with Wanda, how she started out as the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, how her and Pietro left, joined the Avengers. She fell in love with Vision. It's just very well done. And then when the chaos happens and these apparitions find Wanda, it's just a great little way, because this takes place on Halloween. And in true fashion, it talks about how she's grown with her mutant powers, what she's learned from Agatha Harkness, and everything just goes into play. And what I like about Jarvis, just like with Alfred, they are not afraid to go into danger for the people they care about. And we see that Vision has met his match in this apparition that has come to take the Scarlet Witch. I don't want to get too much into the story. I want you guys to go pick this story up, but we get a cool idea of where he's come from. And again, character development. Jarvis, he's been knocked to the ground, and yet he comes out of his way to help Vision. And he says, I'm not going to run. You will not pass me, apparition. And even though he knows he's not has the abilities of Captain America or anything, he still tries to protect Wanda while Vision is trying to defeat these other threats to their newly found home. And through it all, even though Wanda questions herself, she still finds a way to get her abilities, how to find strength within herself, thinking, Jarvis is down. Vision is in danger. Samayan shrugged my hex aside with a sweep of his scythe. I've got to think this through, not waste energy on futile attacks. My hex powers stem from my mutant physiology. It disrupts the probability field around me, creating poltergeist effects. And on the other hand, the true magic I was taught affects organic matter. Which would avail me here? Perhaps my only hope is to combine the two and see what happens. This was a 12-part series, and I'm hoping to find the original run. I just happened to get this one as a free download from the old Marvel app. And my God, you cannot beat hand-drawn artwork like this or classic dialogue that just brings you in and makes you care about what the characters are talking about there, because it actually adds to the story instead of feeling like they're just talking for the sake of filling word balloons. This is what I miss about these original comics that make you care about the characters that we see in these modern iterations. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and go grab all 12 issues. And if you've enjoyed this review, I really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little hex bell next to subscribe, that way as I continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or the socials, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.